What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. So back in 2019, I picked up a new habit, and that was meditation. And in this video, I want to share the benefits and the things that I've learned from meditating nearly every day since 2019. All right, now I am not going to lie to you. I don't do this for an hour. Per Dalton Y every day for years. I think that would just be a little bit overwhelming and a lot, and I didn't feel like it was able to fit in my schedule, so I tend to do this for only about 5 to 10 minutes. Usually every day there is times when it does really fit into the schedule. Maybe I am traveling, I am with other people, that is okay, but I still learned so many things from meditating. And the goal here in this video is to share those things that I've learned and the things that have really helped me in my life, because overall it has been a very positive experience, and it is really my hope that I can change the mindset of some other people who might be skeptical about meditating, because I know for the first 21 or almost 22 years of my life I really thought meditation was just kind of this big joke that was for hippies, and it just felt like a waste of time. And I looked at it and said, why would I spend half an hour doing nothing when I could be doing something productive, or at the very least doing something entertaining? Because time, as we all know, is the most precious resource. Why would I waste it? And that is what I constantly told myself, so hopefully we can change that mindset for some people here today. And if we do, I am going to be really, really excited. Now, I know there is probably 10 other videos you can go watch. Probably entertaining videos you can go watch, but I promise you that if you stick around, you are going to learn something very, very useful for your life, and hopefully maybe change it for the better. So let us get into it. All right, so first things first, let us clear up what meditation actually is. I think there is quite a few definitions and misconceptions about it. It is not totally about just clearing your mind and doing nothing, but it is also not about letting your thoughts run wild. So really what it is you are simply observing your own thoughts. I hope I didn't just lose you there. You can read into this more. I know I certainly didn't grasp it right away either. But essentially the key here is to observe your own thoughts but not explore them any further. And so there is actually 9 different types of meditation. Don't worry, I don't know what half of these are either. So don't feel overwhelmed. I simply practice mindfulness meditation. I think it is really useful, and I'll explain those 5 key benefits from what I've learned from this in just a minute. But we kind of clearing up what this definition actually is. So in this practice, simply what you are doing is you are observing your own thoughts. So for example, let us say that I am sitting here and I am meditating and I start to smell something. I start to smell cookies smell really, really good. And so normally when we not meditating, our mind starts to wander, right? So we use our 5 senses, right? We re-smelling, we re-hearing, we re-feeling, we re-seeing, and we are tasting, right? So those are the 5 ones, right? And so our minds start to wander. And so for example, maybe I am meditating or I am sitting here and I start to smell cookies, and then you start to think, oh, I wonder who is making cookies. I wonder what type of cookies. Why are they making cookies? Are they taking them somewhere? Who are the cookies for? And our minds start to wander. But when we remeditating, we simply acknowledge that we smell the cookies, but we don't explore it any further. So we simply label it and move on. And so we would simply say, smelling, and then we move on to something else. We try to stay relatively clear, but, we not actively seeking new thoughts. This really helps calm me down a lot, but let us talk about the key benefits here to meditation as a whole. All right, so there are 5 main benefits that I've learned from this over the past 5 years or so of meditating. And so the big overarching thing that I've learned from this, and the thing that has really helped me, is dealing with stress. Now, the majority of people in the world experience some level of stress, some people far more than others. Whether this is from work, from school, from dealing with relationships or family members, we can end up being pretty stressed. And you don't have to be a doctor or a therapist or a psychiatrist to know that stress is generally not healthy in large doses. And so with stress, it can lead to higher blood pressure. These are all just, this is very much common knowledge. You can go explore this. I urge you to go explore this further as well. But meditation has really helped me with relieving stress and managing that. And, there is different phases in life where you might be more or less stressed. But whenever I find myself getting a little bit too stressed, I simply just meditate for 5 or 10 minutes, and it really helps kind of alleviate that. Now, there is different ways to alleviate stress. We can exercise. It is a great way. We can watch movies. We can go hang out with friends. And unfortunately, sometimes people end up trying to deal with stress with drugs or alcohol or other bad things like that. So I found that this is one of the best ways for me to deal with that. And there is countless studies. There is hundreds of studies showing that meditation has consistently helped with dealing with stress. And there is meta-studies of this as well, which is a study of many other studies. So I urge you to go read about those and learn about how it can really help manage your stress as a whole. And, I don't want this video to be something to spin it off as like it is going to cure all the problems that you might have in your life if you have any. It is certainly not the end. All solution that is going to fix everything, but it definitely does help in a lot of ways. Now, on top of that, and kind of going hand in hand with stress, the second great benefit to meditating that I found was helping with anxiety. Sometimes you can get a little bit anxious, whatever this is from. Sometimes we don't even know why we re-experiencing anxiety. And so meditation has really helped with that as well. And the studies, once again, kind of highlight that and how it really does benefit. But there are 3 more key benefits here that I found, and some of these weren't even really labeled very much when I was doing research and deciding whether I should meditate or not and give it a go. And one of them was it has helped me so much with making decisions based off of logic rather than based off of emotion. So think about all the times in your life that maybe you made a decision based out of emotion, but maybe you were angry, you were sad, you weren't happy with somebody, and you did something that you kind of acted rash, like you went out and you did something that maybe you shouldn't have done. But in the moment, you just, you were so angry or you were so upset that you did something right. Whenever I find myself flooded with a lot of emotions, usually negative emotions from something that happens in life. Now, what I do is I meditate for 5 or 10 minutes. That is all it takes, and it really helps center me and allow me to make decisions based out of logic rather than out of emotion. And I like to think that it helps keep me out of a lot of trouble. I kind of just think about anybody who makes big mistakes because they made those decisions out of emotion. If they could go back and meditate, I think some of them would not make those decisions. So I think that is one of the best benefits that I never really saw highlighted before that it has helped me with. Now, I got to be honest with you, I used to be the king of emotional decisions. Back in my early 20s, when I was deep in debt living paycheck to paycheck, I made so many choices out of pure panic or anger or just straight up boredom. I remember one time I was so stressed about my credit card bill that I just said screw it and went out and bought a pair of shoes I couldn't afford. Makes 0 sense, right? But when you are emotional, you don't think straight, you just react. And that reaction usually costs you money. Meditation helped me break that cycle. Now, when I feel that panic rising or that anger bubbling up, I just sit down for 5 minutes, breathe, observe the thought, let it pass, and then I make my decision. And 9 times out of 10, that decision is way better than the impulsive one I would have made. So if you are the type of person who impulse buys or stress spends or makes decisions you regret the next morning, meditation might actually save you some money. No joke. Now, there are 2 other benefits to it. One of them helping with sleep, totally helps with sleep. Once again, I am not a sleep doctor. I am just a guy here on the internet. But if you have lower levels of stress, if you are not as anxious all the time, you are going to find that you are probably going to sleep better. And, sometimes you go to bed and you are wound up. You are thinking a lot about a lot of different things. Just meditate a little bit. And it definitely helps, at least me, helps me fall asleep so much quicker and so much better. I used to lie in bed for hours, man, just staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the things I should have done differently with my money, with my life, with my relationships. And that spiral of thoughts would keep me awake until 2 or 3 in the morning. Then I'd wake up exhausted, grab coffee, and repeat the whole cycle again. It was brutal. But once I started doing a quick 5-minute body scan meditation before bed, something shifted. My brain learned that it was okay to let go of those thoughts. It wasn't going to solve anything by worrying at midnight, and my sleep quality improved so much that I actually started waking up feeling rested. And when you are well rested, you make better decisions about your money and your health. It is all connected. And then the final key here that I found from meditating was actually that it really helped me with my attention span. And this is actually a concern that I've had for a pretty long time, noticing my attention span getting shorter and shorter. And kind of with every generation, I feel like attention spans get shorter. We read kind of like goldfish. Now we always need like something new, right? This is why TikTok is so popular. This is why movies today have cuts every 3 seconds, because we always want something new, right? We always looking for something new because our attention spans are very, very short. And lengthening that, I think, really helps me in so many ways that I can even describe in this video. Like, think about it. When you can focus for more than 30 seconds at a time, how are you supposed to read a book? How are you supposed to learn a new skill? How are you supposed to work on a side hustle or build a budget that actually works for you? You can because all of those things require sustained attention. Meditation trains your brain to sit still and focus on one thing, and that skill transfers to everything else in your life. I noticed that after a few months of meditating, I could actually sit down and read for an hour without reaching for my phone. That was huge for me, and when you can focus better, you get more done, and when you get more done, you make more money, and when you make more money, you have more options. It is a chain reaction. Those are the 5 key benefits and things that I've learned from meditating. Now, if you've made it this far in the video and you are still kind of thinking, read, okay, whatever you are talking about. Meditating, I am not a hippie. I am not going to do this. I want you to at least try one thing. And what I want you to do is stop and just spend some time with yourself in your own head. And when I say this, I don't mean go and read books or go watch movies or go spend time with your dog somewhere. I am really talking about just stopping and sort of facing yourself, and I don't want to sound like, corny or something, but it is something that I started doing a while ago because I had this theory that so many of us are trying to fill our time and avoid our own thoughts. And this is why, sometimes people say to me, they read, how could you sit on a bench and do nothing for 2 hours? I could never do that. I always need to be doing something. And, people are wired differently. Maybe it is just easier for me than other people, and there is no right or wrong answer. But I think if you can stop and really just kind of be content with your own thoughts and yourself and just kind of take everything in, rather than trying to constantly distract ourselves. It is almost like so many of us are running from ourselves in a weird way. So it is just something that really has brought me so much peace and happiness by sort of just facing myself and kind of being content with myself and my thoughts and, not needing to fill my time with things to distract myself, because I think it is just something that IV noticed and I wanted to share it. And that is why I put it at the end of the video. Let me give you a real example from my own life. A couple years ago, I was going through a rough patch. I had just paid off my credit card debt, but I was feeling super lonely and lost. My default reaction was to scroll through social media for hours, watch YouTube videos, order takeout, just anything to fill the silence. I was basically running away from my own thoughts. And then one day I just sat on my couch, no phone, no television, no music, nothing. And I just sat there for 15 minutes. It felt awful at first. My brain was screaming for dopamine. But after a few minutes, something clicked. I started to actually hear myself. I realized I was scared about my future. I was worried I was going to end up broke again. I was insecure about a lot of stuff. And just acknowledging that without judging myself felt like a weight was lifted. That moment changed how I view alone time. Now, I actually look forward to those quiet moments, and honestly, I think that is one of the best things you can do for your mental health and your bank account. Because when you are constantly distracting yourself, you never have to face the hard truths about your spending, your habits, your life choices. But when you sit still, you have to look at the mess, and that is the first step to cleaning it up. So maybe try it out and let me know your thoughts if you decide to start meditating. It can hurt. Just try it out for a week, try it out for 2 weeks. Let me know how you feel. Send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to hear about it, and I really hope that this video was of some value. If you want to go and explore meditation, I would recommend just watching some YouTube videos, follow along. It is a little bit difficult to learn on your own, so I would recommend following along with some YouTube videos to help get you started with it. There are tons of free resources out there. You don't need an app. You don't need a subscription. You don't need a special cushion or incense or any of that stuff. Just sit down somewhere quiet, set a timer for 5 minutes, and breathe. That is it. That is literally all you need to start. And if you can do that consistently for a week, you might just surprise yourself. So thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll make a video next week for everyone. I'll see everybody next time. Peace.